You see all the van life photos, you watch all the van tours, but do you wonder what this nomadic lifestyle is all about? Are you curious about life on the road? Social media calls it #vanlife. We call it home. I'll ask 10 questions to get you the stories that you want to hear from the people who live, work, and travel and adventure in this nomadic lifestyle. Welcome to Life on the Road. Welcome to another episode of Life on the Road. We're asked 10 questions to get you the stories that you want to hear from her Life on the Road. Welcome, Erin.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Yeah, this is amazing. Thank you so much for doing this. This worked out quite well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't plan it at all.
We did not plan this at all. Right place, right time.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, we knew we were going to do this eventually.
Yeah, eventually.
It was just a matter of time. So our paths converged at the exact moment we needed to.
Yeah, I remember thinking that we were going to do it on a ski slope somewhere.
Yes.
And that we weren't going to see each other for a while.
Yes.
But I think that's the nature of van life. You really never know when you're going to see someone. And
Exactly how it works,
I messaged
actually.
you like 2 days ago. I was like, hey, are you in this area?
Exactly.
And you were, and I was here 5 hours later.
Yeah, it worked out quite perfectly.
Yeah, it did.
So as we always start the show, please tell us your name. Tell us where you're from, and then how long you've been living on the road, and shamelessly promote yourself.
My name is Erin. I've been living on the road for a little over 10 months, and I am from the East Coast. And shamelessly promote myself.
Where on the East Coast? Are we going to claim a city? State? You can claim a state.
State, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, okay.
Yeah, Massachusetts.
Nice.
And let's see what else. Oh, you can find me on Instagram, blondehair_dirty toes. My sister hates my handle. So
I love your handle. It's amazing. Your handle's incredible. Blonde hair, dirty toes is a perfect van life handle.
I like it. I even made my Instagram before I lived in a van.
Okay.
But
based on hiking or being outside?
Both. Yeah. I wanted something that people from my past couldn't necessarily find me. That sounds kind of strange, but I just wanted it to be
a little shady.
Van life, like a new beginning, this personality that has become a big part of my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my handle, and I'd say that's about it for right now. There might be some stuff in the future, but yeah, you can find me there.
All right, perfect. And we'll obviously be posting your Instagram here.
Cool.
Time to learn about your life on the road.
A little bit about my life on the road.
Well, here, wait. We're going to start with a question first.
Oh, okay.
We can talk about it generally, but we're going to ask some specific questions.
Yeah.
What was the beginning moment, cause, or inspiration to live your life on the road?
I think, so I was obviously thinking about this, and I'd say the main moment was I went to Northwest Nomads, not this past year, the year before.
Okay.
I wasn't living in a van. I was traveling with someone. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was traveling with someone in a van, a guy. We were dating.
Okay.
And when he was converting his van, I just thought he was crazy. It's like, I don't know why you're doing this. I don't understand it all.
And you guys met in Mass?
California.
Oh, in California.
Actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We met in California. I was living out there for a little while.
Okay.
We met there. We dated for a while. I lived in his rig with him for a month.
Okay.
And at first I was getting used to it. I thought it was a little weird. But then I went to Northwest Nomads and I realized how many people were doing it.
Okay.
And I was like, there are so many different ways to go about this.
Yeah.
The way this one guy's going about it isn't necessarily the end all be all.
Yeah.
And everyone just really inspired me.
Nice.
I'm like, I think I can make this work, and I think this is what I want to do. So that was the real beginning moment, I'd say.
That was the start, so to speak. So this would have been Northwest Nomads in 2020?
Yes.
Okay.
No, well, it's 2022 right now. It was 2021.
2021. Okay.
Yeah. September.
Did you meet Jess there?
No.
Reference number one. If you haven't understand, or you will understand, please go watch Jess's episode where Jess and Erin obviously have, I believe, what it's referred to as a homance.
Yeah, she's the one that claimed that term. I'm fine with it, but I would like it to be known that I did not make that up.
That was Jess's fault.
It was Jess's fault.
That was her definition of.
Yeah.
But yes, she was referenced, Erin was referenced quite a few times in her episode, and we are going to probably return the favor throughout this episode.
Definitely.
Okay.
And if you believe it or not, I was thinking about this last night. Jess and I have only known each other for 3 months. Isn't that crazy?
Okay, I've known you both now for a minute. That is impossible. Like, how is that possible? You guys are, like, have known each other. It seems like you guys have known each other your whole life, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting in terms of how the road works, in terms of you building such incredible bonds so fast.
Oh, for sure.
And that's kind of a testament to you guys specifically. But, okay. Well, we'll get to where you met Jess, I'm sure, at some point. So, reference number 2. What has been your experience with other nomadic travelers? Here we go.
Yeah, I'd say it's been really amazing and more meaningful and deep than I ever thought it would be.
Okay.
When I started living in my van, I knew that there were other people out there because I had dated someone and I had went to Northwest Nomads.
Yeah, so you got a taste of it before you even got in your rig.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I knew that this existed, and it was helpful because I knew that these van life gatherings existed as well.
Sure.
But when I bought my van, I was just convinced that I was going to be alone for a lot of the time.
Okay. Well, it's true.
Yeah.
But these gatherings do exist, and
definitely, yeah. So I bought it in Massachusetts, and I was driving it out west, and I was just like alone, and I was getting very used to being alone, and I'm an independent person, so that was fine with me.
Right.
But then I started going to more gatherings, and the gatherings developed into like meetups after, and it just really, I don't know if escalated is the right word, but my friendships developed so quickly, and it's incredible.
Yeah, so in your, obviously Northwest Nomads was your first van meetup, but you weren't in a rig at the time. Yeah. So what was your first meetup in your rig?
In my rig, it was a engagement party in Joshua Tree.
Okay.
So I got to Joshua Tree like 3 weeks after starting my journey, and that's where I met some of my good friends. I met Amy there.
Okay.
I met DJ Erin there.
Okay. Shout out DJ Aaron.
Yeah, and Amy. And they've become 2 of my closest friends on the road too.
Amazing.
So that was my first meetup or gathering, I don't know. Okay. But then the official first one was, oh, now I'm blanking. I don't think it was Descend. I think it was something else.
Okay.
Oh man, I'm blanking. Sorry.
You'll think of it. It'll come to you like mid-show, and you can just blurt it out. It's okay. Because Jess went somewhere in Wyoming.
Yeah, she did. So it wasn't moon landing, but it was put on by Josiah.
Oh, okay. It was the Land Before, or the Journal of Lost Time event. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. And then obviously Descend, you were at.
That's where I met Jess.
Yes. Okay.
That's where I met Jess, where I met you.
Yes.
Where I met Andy.
Okay. I love it.
So many of my closest friends.
Closest friends now.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So overall, like, your experience with other nomadic travelers is just super positive.
Yeah, I'd say it's super positive. It's blown my mind, and it's kind of something you need to get used to in a good way, but also realize that the connections you form develop really quickly, and friendships, relationships, romantic, platonic, whatever they may be, happen really quick. Yeah. And what would usually take months to build takes days or a week.
Yeah.
Because you're camped next to someone, and it is the best version of having a roommate, I think.
Yeah.
Because, like, you have all this beautiful outdoor space where you can hang out.
Yep.
You can hang out in your rigs, but also if you want to be alone, you have all of the means to do that.
Sure.
You can leave, you can go in your rig, cook, whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd say what has surprised me the most is I have some of my closest friends now that I've met on the road, but it...
Far closer than friends you had in, as my friend Blakely would call it, being a carpet walker in a city. I love the term.
Yeah.
Living in an apartment. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you have close friends back in Massachusetts or wherever in California as well. Mm-hmm. But, like, describe that versus kind of the friendships and the relationships you've had on the road.
It's a good question. I'd say the friendships aren't necessarily greater, but they develop faster.
Okay.
And they become stronger, easier.
Yeah,
because
that makes sense.
I think another element of being on the road is you trust people, for better or for worse.
Okay.
Like, I know if I was traveling with Jess or someone else that has become a close friend, if I broke down, they would help me.
Of course.
Or if you need, like, some sort of food for some sort of dish you're making, they'll give it to you.
Right.
Cooking together, drinking together at night, having coffee together, going for morning walks. Like, it's all there. You can do it very easily. My friends from home, I have like 5 really, really good friends. Yeah. And I'm very grateful for them too, because they don't treat me like I'm a crazy person living in a van.
That's a good thing.
They get it.
Yeah.
Which is something I haven't necessarily seen with other people's friends.
With
or
everybody.
With everyone.
Yeah, for sure. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
okay.
I just think they develop faster.
They do. They do, absolutely. Question number 3. What has been your biggest failure and what has been your biggest triumph while living your life on the road?
So this is the one I was reading that I was struggling with the most. I think my biggest failure hasn't necessarily been van related. I think over the course of my past few years of like adult life, my biggest failure has sometimes been I'll like lose myself.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, so when I got into my van, I did this because I wanted to be outside. Yeah. Active, mountain biking, hiking, running, skiing, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And that was really important to me. And then somewhere along the way, I lost that. And I wasn't doing it. And I was like drinking too much, partying too much, smoking too much. Sure. And I think it's really easy to fall into that.
Yeah, certainly can be, for sure.
And I think the other side of that is I will sometimes forget the reason I started. Okay. So that's in combination with what I just said.
Yeah,
but
that makes perfect sense.
Sometimes the views and the freedom and the autonomy, you forget about it. Yeah. Or like it makes you you become complacent.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Which I didn't want to be.
And it again too, and I think it's very well said, your freedom and your autonomy and your ability to really do anything you want can sometimes go the other direction, and be detrimental. Yes. To where you kind of forget your purpose, or you forget. Maybe you kind of lose, like you said, you lose yourself in certain things. And yeah, it's easy to do. Living in a van on the road full time, being nomadic, takes some responsibility.
Oh, for sure.
You have a lot of responsibility, not only driving and organizing your rig and making sure you're supplied and, checking all the boxes, getting from point A to point B, but keeping up with work. Obviously keeping up with friendships. So yeah, it's definitely a challenge for sure. So
it really is.
Yeah, you could easily lose yourself. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and like I said, I became a little complacent. Like I started to take things for granted. Sure. The newness wears off, and then you start to just feel like it's real life and it's normal life, and it is. Yeah. But we're so lucky to be able to do this that I sometimes have to remind myself, like, why I started and what my goals are.
That makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. And honestly, again, it gets said all the time on this show, oftentimes with this question specifically, your failures end up not being failures.
Yeah.
They're lessons that you're learning along the road that end up being really positive things at the end of the day. So again, I'm sure this is, this comes in your life every now and again where you're like, oh, I need to pause and remember why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And remember the reasons why. So now it's, it's become a little reminder for you to kind of just, check where your head's at and figure out, okay, I'm going down the right path. This feels good.
Definitely.
Makes sense. Okay. Your biggest triumph?
Let's see. I'd say, so the biggest triumph, and it's like the same thing that I kind of just said.
It happens all the time. Like, people answer this question and they go, okay, it's both.
It is both.
Like, my triumph and my failure are pretty much kind of the same thing.
They are.
And it makes perfect sense.
So like I said, I kind of lost myself a little bit, forgot the reason I was out here.
Sure.
Became a little complacent. But looking back on basically the past year in the van, I think my biggest triumph and one of the things I'm happiest about is all of the physical activities I've been able to do.
Nice. Okay.
I learned how to ski this year.
Yep.
I learned how to mountain bike.
Yep.
I ran 2 5Ks. I was supposed to run a half marathon, but I screwed up my knee.
Okay.
I went on my longest backpacking trip.
Nice.
And I'm just so incredible. And I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life.
Amazing.
And I'm just like happy with that.
Yeah, for sure.
That was a big goal for living in the van.
Okay. So, you say you've kind of lost yourself a little bit, and that can happen easily, but you've obviously kept to maybe the overarching goal of being in the van, and that's being outside.
Yeah.
And really enjoying the places that you get access to. So, it sounds like you're doing that just fine. So.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a hard line to walk sometimes because I thought the biggest thing for me was going to be the activities.
Right.
The national parks, seeing new things, pushing my body.
Right.
And that's one of the biggest things.
Okay.
But the thing I didn't expect is the community.
Yeah, for sure.
So the people and the activities are my 2 biggest things. Yeah. And sometimes it's hard to balance those 2.
It's hard to balance those 2 for sure.
Yeah.
Between I want to spend time with these people versus I want to go on a 4-day adventure and get away. So
hard.
It makes perfect sense.
It's a big one.
It is. Question number 4: did you start your life as a single person on the road, and what is it like living as a single person on the road?
Well, so in my van, yes.
So technically,
no.
Yes. Okay. You started as a couple.
Yeah.
Or at least your exposure to life on the road started as a couple.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got a daily dose of both.
I had both. Okay. I was dating this guy for like a year and a half. He's converting his van. We traveled in his van for a month. And I'm still friends with him, and we've talked about it. And he's like, that month was like really fun, and it wasn't that hard. And I was like, oh.
You had a different point of view.
It was a struggle for me.
Oh, that's funny.
It was a struggle. And
okay, before we go on, talk about the struggles of being in a relationship, being in a rig, being in the same rig.
Yeah. I think
from your perspective, obviously he saw it differently.
Yeah.
So let's hear why it was a struggle.
So I would say if you're going to live in a rig as a couple, build the van together or buy a converted van. Don't move into someone's van that they've converted.
Very, very good advice.
Because he converted it and he knew all the ins and outs.
Yeah.
He knew how to do everything.
Yeah.
And it was also his baby.
Yeah.
Like it was, it's perfect. It's beautiful.
Okay.
So I felt like I was walking on eggshells, like I was going to break something.
Interesting.
Because I didn't know anything about van life. And it's also like his passion project.
Yeah.
So it was really hard for me. I felt like I was taking up too much space.
Okay.
So that's one part of it that was challenging for me.
I was going to ask you if he, what was it like moving your things into his space?
I just had like one suitcase.
Okay. He didn't even give you like a shelf or
He gave me a shelf.
cabinet?
He gave me packing cubes, and we put them in a cabinet. He gave me packing cubes.
I was gonna say, if he made you keep your clothes in a piece of luggage,
He didn't.
Like, good Lord,
He
this
didn't.
relationship was doomed from the beginning.
He didn't make me do that,
Okay,
but
that's good.
I know you can't really see my van from here, but there are things that are like a little scattered in there, and
That's
not
okay.
everything has a home.
Of course.
And that's just who I am. It's never gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
Everything in his van had to have a home, and it still does. I remember one time he was
Althea's like the same. It's the same
Yeah.
thing in Althea.
you have to have a home.
I know.
He's like, can you put this somewhere? It needs to have a home. He's like, don't leave anything on the counters. Don't leave anything out. I was like, okay.
That's so funny.
Which is fine.
No,
It's
but
just,
going back to your point of if you're going to be in a relationship and you're going to choose to live in a rig together, your advice is very sound. Build it together or buy one
Yep.
that you both agree on.
Yep.
And
Yep.
don't move into one or the others and try and make it work. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's difficult.
Yeah, I'd say it's maybe a little different if you're both living on the road
Yeah.
and then you sell one and you
Yeah.
move into one, or
You've experienced van life together and you're choosing between the two and you're going to get rid of one.
Yeah.
Something like that makes sense.
yeah, but I've thought about it a little bit too. And in my rig, I'm like, if I was to date someone and we were going to live in a van together, I
Yeah.
don't think it could be this one.
2 separate rigs.
Yeah.
Has to be.
2 separate rigs, or we buy a bus or something. I
Something
don't know.
large.
It just
Something with-
couldn't
with
be
space.
this.
Yep, that's completely fair. I understand. Yeah, no.
I would feel like
I'm-
someone's infiltrating my home, you know?
Yeah. There's no way I could share Althea, I don't think, in a relationship. Like, I think my partner would have to have her own rig.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
Um, Now we've
Now.
broke up with
Yes.
this gentleman, and you're single.
Yes.
And you've been single for a minute now.
Yeah.
So what's
Yeah.
it like living on the road as a single person?
Well, we talked about this a little bit last night. So
We had a very long conversation last night.
We
So yes,
did.
this was a part of our discussion.
we did.
For sure.
I really like being single, and I
Okay.
like my freedom, and I like my autonomy.
Yeah.
But I also am a relationship-oriented person.
Yeah.
So I'd say overall, I'm very happy being single.
Okay.
It works for me right now.
Yeah.
I like being able to go where I want to go, do what I want to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'd be lying if I said there isn't a part of me that wants like a buddy
Yeah,
and
of
a
course.
partner and all of it
Yeah.
to
Well, you've
deal
had,
with some of the shit.
You've had a bit of a taste of that.
Yeah.
You know, so you've
Yeah.
been on the road for a minute, maybe not in your own rig, but you've experienced that with someone else.
Yeah.
And you know what that feels like, and you know what that kind of looks like. And so you're kind of ahead of the curve, you know, for all the ones that started nomadic travel as a pure single person. Like, you kind of already know what it's like to share that with a partner a little bit.
Yeah, I'd say definitely like be in 2 different rigs if you can. Because when you're in the same rig, you have to do everything together.
Yeah.
And I mean everything.
Yes.
Like there was one day that he wanted to go mountain biking, and I didn't mountain bike at this point. So we had to find a place that he could mountain bike and I could hike.
Okay.
And like coordinate drop-off times and all this.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just like, if you're gonna be apart, you have to go to a lot of effort to
Yeah,
be apart.
there's a lot of logistics involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay. So do you prefer single life or a
Yeah.
relationship on the road? Single life?
I prefer single life,
Yeah, okay.
but I think it would be different if I was in a relationship with someone who had their own rig.
Okay,
I
that
would
makes perfect
probably
sense.
feel differently.
Okay.
But
Question number 5. What is the best place or craziest place you've had sex during your life on the road?
it's just been in the beds.
Just in the van.
It's not crazy, yeah.
It's okay. I mean, but again, the reference is place. So give me a
Yes.
place where, you know, it's obviously we've stated been in the van, but you wake up the next morning, you're having coffee, you open your door, where are you at? Like, what's the best place?
So I'd say I thought about that when I was reading this question too. So in other people's rigs that I've been with, you can't see out the back.
Okay.
They're either like blocked off,
Yeah.
the guy I was with, and I've slept with him since, honestly. His back doors are blocked off.
Okay.
And a different guy I was with, like, his back doors are blocked off too. So you can't see out.
Okay.
In mine, they're not blocked off.
Yeah.
So you can move the curtain and you can stare at the view
Yeah.
before, during, or after you're having sex.
get it.
And it's awesome.
Amazing.
I'd say most recently it was in, like, Monument Valley in Utah.
Beautiful place.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
were up on this, like, ledge overlooking sunset and
Yeah.
stuff. And
Sounds amazing.
just, yeah.
It's perfect.
It was awesome. Great sunsets out there and a
Yes.
very, very unique landscape.
100%. It's like Mars, which is incredible. Question number 9. Nine. We're moving fast. Question number 6. How do you make money while living your life on the road?
I work full-time remotely as a data analyst.
Perfect. Do you use Starlink, or are we primarily using cellular coverage to stay connected and do your job?
So primarily cellular coverage.
Okay.
I also have like a Verizon, I think it's called like a MiFi hotspot.
Yep.
So that's like $50 a month.
Yep.
Provides Wi-Fi. I'll use my mobile hotspot once in a
Okay.
while, but I think the little Wi-Fi thing is worth it. It's more reliable.
Sure.
So I'll use both of those. My carrier is also Verizon.
Okay.
I think it would be cool to have Verizon and AT&T, but I don't.
Yeah. So you only have one carrier, but you're reliant on cellular signal in order to do your job.
I am,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Has that been a challenge? Have you got in a situation to where you're like, I have to go find cell signal to work?
I think so.
Yeah.
So my job is relatively flexible,
Sure.
so it's never been like dire.
Okay.
I've found myself in a situation where like there's no service here. I'm gonna have to drive 30 minutes or an hour.
Yeah.
But it's never been a huge issue.
Okay.
I also I love being out in nature, but I find myself enjoying being close to a town.
Okay.
So I can go in and like go to a bar or grocery shop and
Okay.
just like have human interaction once in a while.
Okay.
So it hasn't been.
So you're not one
problem
going
for
and
me.
getting lost for 2-3 weeks in the backcountry.
I'm really not.
Yeah.
If I do that, I prefer to be backpacking.
Okay. That makes sense.
I'm not one to do that in my van. It freaks me out a little bit because I'm like, what if I break down out here?
Okay.
So.
And we'll get to the rig in a little bit.
So I don't. It's just not completely my thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Starlink is nice. I was just hanging out with a friend who has it, and we were the same friend I was in Monument Valley with, and it was nice to be able to have that service
Right.
because we would not have been able to stay there.
Right. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely a benefit, but it's expensive as well. So, it's not necessarily for everybody. And before Starlink was around, which was last year, basically, or, pretty much the year before, everybody used cellular coverage, whether it was hotspots or whether it was a router or whether it was a WeBoost, whatever it is, you were always reliant on cell signal. So,
Definitely.
yeah, it works either way. So.
Yeah.
Question number 7, the rig. What is your rig? Who built it? And why did you choose it to live your life on the road?
It is a 2008 Dodge Sprinter, 170 wheelbase.
A Dodge Sprinter.
Yes.
So the old school.
The old school Sprinters.
Yep.
So I think prior to 2010,
Yes.
Mercedes outsourced the bodywork to Freightliner.
Yes.
So it has a Mercedes engine and Mercedes parts.
Yep.
But it's Dodge.
But it is a Dodge Freightliner body.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I bought it from a guy on Facebook. His name's Spencer. Shout out Spencer. We
Nice.
still talk.
Amazing.
And I chose it. I decided to buy one converted because I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to love van life and
Okay.
how long I was going to do it for.
Okay. Contrary to your homance, Jess,
Yeah.
you bought an old rig,
Yeah.
a very old rig,
Very old rig.
and converted it,
Yes.
but with the same question. She was not sure if she was going to like van life.
Yeah. I'm not really sure why she would convert it. She wasn't sure.
I know. It was a question that I was confused with as well, but
Yeah. So I bought mine converted because I had a remote job and I still have a remote job.
right.
And I don't think I'm always going to want a remote job.
What was the guy you were with when you were dating? What was his rig when you guys were together that you started in?
2016 Ford. He
Okay.
bought it basically. It wasn't new, but it was only
close.
had like 5,000 miles on it or something.
Yeah, okay. So, having now lived in a Ford Transit
Yes.
and now a Mercedes Sprinter, where do you fall?
His van doesn't break down at all.
Well, it's a little newer.
It's a little newer.
Yeah.
His van doesn't break down at
It's
all.
a lot newer.
What's the other thing? Doesn't break down at all. Parts are easy to find.
Yeah,
Mechanics are
Ford.
easy to find.
Yep. Okay.
I think life in a Ford is easier.
Okay.
The thing, though, is they're more expensive. So I also chose this because it was older and it has quite a few miles on it.
Sure. It's a diesel, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that's another reason I chose it, because I wanted a diesel, because the resale value
Yep.
is better for diesel engines if you're going to put a lot of miles on them.
Yep.
And
Typically, they're more efficient over the length of an engine as well, like
yeah.
compared to a gas engine. But
Yeah, and I get better gas mileage than he does.
For sure.
Which is kind of crazy.
for sure.
Really good gas mileage on highways. It blows my mind.
Yes.
I
So-
drove like 3 hours yesterday.
Yeah.
And only used half a tank.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that diesel's at the price that it is right now, but
Yes.
that is kind of the trade-off.
Just don't go to California.
You just stay away from the state
Yeah.
of California.
Yeah.
I filled up Mount Shasta earlier this summer. It was the most expensive fill-up I've ever had in my life. It's $7.80 a gallon. It was brutal.
I hate that.
What was your most
Freaking
expensive
California.
fill-up?
Definitely somewhere in California.
Somewhere in California.
Yeah, I don't know. I lived there for a little while, and I had a Corolla.
Yeah.
So cheap.
Yeah.
Then I got the van, and I was living there for like a month
Yeah.
or whatever.
And you're like, holy shit.
It's bad.
It's expensive.
It's really bad. It's frustrating.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything that you...
Love it.
should I answer it?
Do you want to?
No. I'll let that go.
Okay.
Is there anything you would change? Obviously, would you, if you could go and purchase a rig today, would you buy a Sprinter or would you look to the Ford?
I would. Okay, so I would buy a Sprinter if I
Okay.
could buy like a newer Sprinter.
Right.
But new Sprinters are more expensive than new Fords.
For sure.
New Fords are more expensive than old Sprinters.
For sure.
So I would buy a new Sprinter.
Okay. So still not going away from the Sprinter, even though it would cost maybe a little bit more than the Ford.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I really do love Sprinters,
Yeah.
but what you really have to know before you get one is, especially if they have a lot of miles, they are gonna break down at some point.
Yeah. Or you're going to need to get work done.
You're gonna need to get work done, and even routine work.
Yeah.
Above an oil change.
Yep.
So I needed a wheel bearing changed.
Yeah.
Like 5 places wouldn't take it.
Super
5
hard to
places
find.
didn't understand what part I needed.
Yep.
I knew what part I needed.
Yep.
And this was in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
So I just say the thing about the Sprinters is parts are super expensive.
Yeah.
And mechanics are hesitant to work on them.
Yeah.
Even if they will work on them, it's not necessarily a good mechanic.
Yeah, you almost have to go to a Mercedes shop. And there are some that are not officially licensed Mercedes stores or, resellers or an actual Mercedes Benz dealer. But they're few and far between. They're hard to find. Like there's a great one here in Phoenix, but I don't know of many others. There might be one in Utah, but yeah, you're kind of Salt Lake City, but you're kind of hit or miss.
Yeah.
So, okay, that makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. Question number 8. What is your best bathroom, number 1 or number 2 story from Life on the Road?
My best one is, so I have a cassette
I
toilet.
was going to say, is there a toilet in the rig?
I have a cassette toilet.
A cassette toilet. Everyone's
Cassette
favorite.
toilet, yes.
Okay.
And
Why the cassette toilet?
I didn't want to pay for a composting toilet.
Totally fair. Composting
Yeah.
toilets are expensive. They are the crown jewel of thrones in the van world.
Yeah.
And so I get it. That makes perfect sense.
I also didn't want to hook up a composting toilet. So you have like these, I think you have to like wire it or something, right? You literally just put it in and you're done?
Yeah. It comes with a little fan that if you want to use the fan, you can, but you don't have to.
So, okay, maybe I'll get a composting toilet.
They're amazing, and everybody on this show knows how much I'm against cassette toilets.
Yeah, you are very much
against them. And I am very
them.
pro composting toilets. They're just easier and better, and I don't know. I love hearing the horror stories of the cassette toilet, though.
Yeah.
Makes for great show notes.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, I'll look into a composting toilet. I still don't know if I want to spend $1,000 on a composting toilet, but maybe.
And that's how much they are. So they're expensive.
They're really expensive.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your do we have a good cassette toilet story?
I haven't had a crazy amount.
I mean, Jess had a great story with you.
Me. I mean, that was funny. So that's one of them, but that didn't happen to me. And I'll talk about that in a second. But I think my one failure with the cassette toilet was right after I left Massachusetts, so it's like dead of winter, super cold. I'd only peed in it like 3 times, but I convinced myself I needed to dump it.
Okay.
I left Massachusetts, I went to Delaware, I was staying at a campsite for 2 nights, and it's
a small one, like 2.5 gallon, I'm assuming?
It's bigger than Jess's.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know.
It might be closer to 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
It might be a 5-gallon one.
Okay.
I didn't know, I definitely did not need to dump it, but I was like, I need to dump it at this
you're at a campsite.
porta potty or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like a pit toilet.
Okay.
So I go to a pit toilet, take out my cassette toilet, and I don't know, I had never dumped it before, but they're straightforward to dump.
Yeah.
There's only pee in it, and I take like the little top nozzle off and accidentally rip the whole nozzle off so that it spills all over my feet, all over the bathroom. I'm covered in pee. It was actually in these boots. I haven't cleaned them since.
Thank God.
This is like 2 days into van life. I spill my cassette toilet all over me.
Okay.
I'm at a trailhead in a pit toilet, walking out with my cassette toilet.
Just completely covered in pee.
Completely covered in pee from like the knee down. Embarrassed, and also like, I shouldn't be dumping this here, and then people pull in. I'm like, I need to leave immediately. How am I going to do this?
It's awesome.
It's ridiculous.
Okay. Do you want to touch on Jess's crazy story? Because you were very much a part of that.
Yeah, so she just like dumps her, she only pees in hers, so she just dumps hers outside, like in a toilet, in a hole.
Yeah.
So she's never been to like an RV dump station.
Right. Obviously.
I go to RV dump stations, or like there are also dump stations at gas stations, super convenient.
Yep.
She's never been to one. And this day in Albuquerque, it was like super windy, and we were running errands, so she brings her cassette toilet into my van.
Into the van?
Into the van. I was like, you can, it's whatever. It's like 2 toilets.
Yeah.
So then we go to dump ours at a really clean RV dump station. It's windy, and hers is like blowing all over the place, and she doesn't know how to like position it correctly. And then it just like gets all, it was like this blocked off area, so it didn't go everywhere, but it's like all within the square of the blocked off area.
Right. She never got it in the actual
She didn't get it in
dump.
the hole.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, what just happened? And she goes, I don't know how to do this. So then I cleaned it up for her with the hose that's there to clean it up.
Yeah.
I was like,
Poor
this is
Jess.
ridiculous.
Poor Jess.
Yeah.
Okay. We need to obviously send a YouTube video to Jess on how to
dump her toilet.
In an RV dump station.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
She's going to have to do that again at some point.
Well, good thing she has you in your life, your home answer. Perfect. Question number 9. Describe the happiest and hardest moments of your life on the road.
The hardest moments are when so I obsess about things. I think I have anxiety. I do have anxiety.
Okay.
The hardest moments are when there's something wrong with your van and you're freaked out about it.
Yeah.
The breakdowns, the routine maintenance that becomes more maintenance.
Right.
I obsess about it. So then that becomes all I think about.
Okay.
That's one of them. The other one is like saying goodbye to people and not knowing when you're going to see them again.
Yes.
Especially people you like really care about.
Yeah.
So close friends.
Yeah.
Or,
I mean, it's one of those things. Yeah, it's one of those things that is a part of this community. It's a part of nomadic travel. You're going to meet up and meet new friends, and that side of it is truly amazing and happens, as we already noted, very quickly. You build these amazing bonds. But then, as always, in nomadic travel, you go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, they're not going the same location that you're going to go. And so there is a, sad goodbye, typically. But the bright side is typically you're going to find that person again.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the road.
I think as long as they're not like leaving life on the road, you're almost and you care enough to see them again, you're almost always going to see them again.
I would say that that's very true. 100%. Like if you're truly friends and they're going to continue in nomadic travel and be in the van life community, you're going to run across them again.
Definitely.
You're going to find a way to reconnect, especially with the individuals that you care about the most, for sure. Sometimes it's just unexpectedly, i.e. today or yesterday, or it's, planned a month out and you say, hey, we're going to meet here in a month, which happens, I would say, quite often. So that's kind of how it works. What about the happiest moments living your life on the road?
The happiest moments are also the people.
Yeah. When
you find someone that you instantly connect with, it's just so cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
There are all different kinds of people on the road too.
Of course.
And I've met people that are acquaintances, I met people that are friends, and I've met people that are close friends.
Yeah.
And when you develop that relationship, it's like, oh shit, where have you been for all my life?
Yeah, for sure.
And also I feel like I've known you for all my life.
Yeah. But I also want to touch on, it's interesting you said that it's acquaintances, friends, and then just best friends.
Yeah.
But even the acquaintances, it's so nice to roll into a camp or come into a descend on bend and be like, I know you, we've met before, so good to see you. Even though we're not super tight, we don't hang out all the time. It's just really nice to be in a familiar community with people that you know and you see often.
Definitely.
So even the acquaintance side, again, this community is relatively small.
Yeah. That's it.
It's very small.
You don't realize.
Yeah. You see the same people often. And that is comforting as well. It can be really nice. So any other truly happy, special moments of living your life on the road?
Yeah, actually, so I wanted to talk about this. The past week, I was in Lake Havasu.
Okay.
And so the people you meet on the road have some of the most incredible talents. So I went to Havasu to have my house battery switched out.
Shout out, what's a bus?
Shout out, Brian, was a bus. Had it changed from AGM to lithium, and it is so much better.
Yeah, good.
While I was there, I also got a free bike rack. Thanks, Brian.
There you
again.
Go. Amazing.
Because his bikes got stolen, he gave it to me.
Nice.
My friend Reagan replaced my starter in my van.
Okay.
We bought a starter at AutoZone, and we replaced it.
There you go.
Mike fixed some things in my van and hung some things up for me.
Yeah.
Jess was doing work too. It's just people are so willing to help you.
Yeah.
And I think that has been
just such a happy moment.
A happy moment, and just so cool when you realize that people have these talents that they're willing to share with you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I am not great at fixing things, but I was making people food all week.
That's amazing.
Because I love to do that.
That's a very valuable skill, and it's something that others will appreciate and love that you do. So yeah, much like you. We're super happy with Brian and all the help that he provided. You giving him food, I'm sure, was equally as generous and welcomed.
Yeah, and it's really cool. I keep talking about the people, but while I was there, I went on morning and afternoon walks with people all the time. Yeah. And that's not really something I do by myself. It is something I'd like to start doing. Yeah. But the small moments, as it is with anything in life, just become the big moments and the things you really
that's awesome.
Really remember and the people you appreciate. Yeah,
no, it gets obviously spoken a lot on the show is how wonderful the nomadic community really truly is. Obviously go outside of your quote unquote best friend circle, but just the general friendships, you know, and even the general acquaintances are just truly just that. They're genuine. Everybody is in the same boat. everybody is in the same circumstances. We're all living in a rig. We're all traveling, from place to place. We all kind of share these common experiences, the common everyday experiences. So we kind of get what each other's going through.
Yeah, and to be completely honest, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have, like, Jess or some of these other people.
Yeah.
Because the people at home, they understand as best they can, and the people in my life are really, really special and very understanding.
Yeah.
But they don't fully get it.
Yeah.
Like,
it's fair. Like, most people who don't or have never experienced nomadic travel or never experienced life on the road, they don't really understand. And it's very hard to explain and very hard to verbally explain the trials and tribulations that you go through on the road. And so when you meet another nomadic traveler, they get it. Mm-hmm. They go, oh, I know exactly what you're going through. How can I help?
Yeah.
If you're in trouble, what can I do? I've been there. Or, I know these things that could help you, and let's talk about those.
Definitely.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I love it.
Yeah.
Question number 10. Our final question.
Okay.
I'm trying to make sure that this person's not calling me. In your own words, define #vanlife and offer up one piece of advice you'd give somebody wanting to live a life on the road.
#vanlife. I think it is...
I love how everybody pauses and goes, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's accepting the good with the bad.
Okay.
I think van life for me has been such an educator in the fact that those two things are not mutually exclusive.
Okay. That's interesting.
I can be having a really great day,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, like, I get a flat tire.
Yeah, of course.
Or I can be having a shitty day where my van's breaking down, and I get to stay in Albuquerque with a friend and reconnect.
Yeah.
So I think just understanding that you're not going to get one or the other.
Yeah.
You're going to get both almost all the time.
Almost all the time, yeah.
And you're also probably going to constantly be asking yourself, what is my life right now? What did I get myself into?
What am I doing?
Why do I feel chaotic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think, and again, I think it's a really great, honest description of nomadic travel or quote unquote #vanlife is that, as my friend Sierra has coined, it's not butterflies and rainbows all the time.
It's really not.
The majority of the time is a struggle. And it's how you deal with that struggle on a daily basis, which really determines your ultimate life on the road. Mm-hmm. Like, are you going to be willing to stay and make it on the road?
Yeah.
Because, and I think you said it very well, every single day you're going to have those moments where you're like, oh, this is amazing, I feel so good. And then you're like, shit, this sucks.
Yeah.
And it's not one or the other usually. It's always like both. Like you go through such highs and lows on a daily basis that it's really something people need to be aware of, and that you're going to have to deal with those emotions, every single day.
Yeah. And you're going to have to be one with your environment way more.
For sure.
The fact that the daylight savings time, like, it screws you up so much more than living in a house. You're going to have to, like, know when to have warm clothes and switch out them for your
Getting
clothes,
to a campsite before dark now that it gets dark at 5 o'clock, now
it's a struggle.
Now is a new challenge. Whereas in the summertime, you could roll into camp at 9 o'clock and it'd be fine.
Yeah.
So now I've got 3 extra hours of driving in the summer. Well, now I am, I'm short 3 hours if I want to get from point A to point B before it's dark.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of things and struggles that people don't really think about until they actually get on the road. So yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And then a piece of advice you'd give somebody wanting to live a life on the road.
I have quite a bit of advice, but I'll just choose one.
You can give as much advice as you want. Seriously.
Okay, I think my main one is allow yourself to grow and change.
Okay.
But
really good
keep
advice.
in mind why you started.
Okay. Because growth is going to happen, no matter what. Like, you're going to get on the road, and your environment, everything's going to change, and it's how you deal with it, and it's that process of dealing with it is where you grow.
Yeah.
And makes perfect sense. But your advice is don't lose track of why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's really good advice.
So letting both of those things kind of happen at the same time.
Sure. And probably be, like, to your point when you even talked about it earlier, be aware of what that is and don't lose sight of that, because you can lose yourself and you can lose sight of that pretty easily. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the other side of that is like what other people are doing isn't necessarily what you need to be doing.
Another very good piece of advice.
Like,
for sure.
People will stay in a place for a month at a time.
Yeah.
I just can't do that.
I can't either. Yep.
Or people will travel from point A to point B every single day.
Yeah. No,
I also can't do that.
I agree.
And it's okay for those things to change too. Like I've started to realize that I want to be in a spot for like 2 weeks. That's my
your max.
sweet spot.
Yep.
But there are also people I know that want to be more settled down and stay somewhere for like 3 months at a time and work seasonally.
Sure.
And that's fine too. And I think just understanding that
what is
your opinion can change.
Yeah, yeah.
What you want can change, but you also don't need to just follow the crowd.
100%. 100%. Well, and I think that's, something too that people need to understand in this community is that if you want to go somewhere else or you want to do something different from everybody else, no one's going to say anything.
Yeah.
They're all going to respect you. They're all going to say, amazing, go do your thing. Like, the ability to follow others is there for sure. But nobody's going to judge you for choosing your own thing, for sure.
Yeah, and I think the last thing I'll say is like, either know yourself when you start or be comfortable with the fact that you are going to get to know yourself.
Yeah.
The good and the bad pieces of you.
You're going to be alone.
You're going to be alone.
A lot.
You're going to have to face your thoughts.
Yep.
You're going to have to figure your shit out.
Yeah. No, I think it's great advice. And people need to be aware that this lifestyle, this nomadic life on the road is and can be extremely lonely.
Yeah.
And you're going to be alone a lot of times, and probably the majority. And you're alone with your thoughts. You're alone with just yourself. You're alone with the things that you have to do. Your chores, your work, your everything, your daily life. And unless you can figure that out or have a good grasp for it, the nomadic life might not be for you yet. Yeah,
like your landlord isn't going to come and fix it for you.
Nope.
People aren't going to constantly be asking you if you're safe.
Yeah.
Unless, you have that relationship with someone. But
yeah,
a lot of it, almost all of it, falls squarely on you.
Yeah. No, I think it's, having a good understanding of yourself prior to van life or prior to nomadic travel is a wonderful piece of advice.
Yeah.
So, well, this is amazing.
Thanks. This is fun.
Those are all your questions.
Lovely.
Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad we could connect and do this today. I'm so glad we got to share some stories about Jess, which was perfect.
Yeah, I'm excited for our joint interview whenever that's going to happen.
We're 100% going to do that, I think. There's going to be maybe a little special edition homance between Jess and Erin, yes, where we're going to, we might adjust some questions and dive into the friendship that y'all have, which is only 3 months old, which is insane.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. Seeing you two together is like you guys have been like known each other since birth. So truly amazing, and that's a testament to life on the road. So.
Most recently, we got walkie-talkies, and we're going around Havasu, walkie-talking it up with the whole camp, and now we have walkie names. So
good Lord.
We'll address those, I guess, in our joint interview. But
I think we'll keep those for the Homance edition of Life on the Road.
Hers is pretty great. It's pretty fitting.
This does not surprise me in the slightest. Okay, I am going to go get on the road. I think you're going to wait for Jess. Jess is on her way.
I am.
And we will see you guys on the next episode. So thanks for watching. See ya.
Bye.
Yeah, looks good.
Cool.
I think the one that I shot with Sloan, this camera, she was completely out of focus the whole time. Yeah, pretty simple. Sorry you're staring directly into the sun, but...
No, it's okay. It gives me an excuse to wear sunglasses. What color eyes do you have?
Blue.
Blue? I'm impressed you're not wearing sunglasses. I feel like my eyes are so sensitive.
They're definitely sensitive.
You're hitting the road?
I think so.
Cool.
I think this person just called me, wants me to come that direction.
Amazing.
My interview with Erin.
Hey.
Oh, hi. Blast. He's such a great interviewer.
Yeah, it was really fun.
He's just so nice and like doesn't poke you or prod you to like answer all the questions the way he wants them answered. Like he would never do that.
Yeah.
Never.
No, never.
Never. You, I did a little bit.
What?
I said you, I did a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm the only one you do that to, of course, obviously.
Of course, obviously.
Obviously.
Look at the hair. Woo!
Fun. I'm like super stoked. I'm like, good job, chick.
It's pretty fire.
Thank you. I'm glad you think so.
I do. Do you know what time Jess is getting in?
No, I'll track her. I also have her location.
Oh, that's amazing.
I'm excited for our joint one.
Will track her.
She's on the road.
She's driving?
Yeah.
Okay. She's driving very slowly right now.
Let me see.